You read something like creative text, and it kind of drops you right into this really fascinating space where, well, human creativity meets artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It makes your head spin a bit, right?
Definitely. It
I
gets
mean,
people talking, that's for sure. And let's be honest, it stirs up a bit of unease for some folks.
yeah,
You hear them wondering, where do my skills fit? What happens when machines can write or paint or compose?
absolutely. And the headlines, they can feel pretty dramatic sometimes,
Yeah.
like AI is just going to steamroll everything creative.
Mm-hmm.
But what if? What if we looked at it differently? What if the key wasn't like being scared of AI, but actually owning it?
Owning it.
Yeah, like what if people like you listening right now actually had control over the AI models themselves, the stuff they learn from, the data, and what comes out at the end?
Ah, okay. That idea of ownership. Yeah, that really does change things, doesn't it? It
Right.
shifts the whole vibe. Instead of feeling like we're up against this huge faceless thing we can't control, suddenly it's something personal, a tool we can actually shape for ourselves, for our own, creative style.
Exactly. Like imagine having your own AI helper, not some off-the-shelf corporate thing, but something trained on your stuff
Mm.
that gets your way of thinking.
Okay, yeah.
It could be an amazing partner for those like smaller creative
Yeah.
things, the little ideas you want to kick around without massive pressure.
And those small acts, those little creative bursts, they can be so important.
Totally.
I mean, in a world where we're just like bombarded constantly, right, with information, demands,
Yeah, the noise.
finding those moments of just making something, even tiny things, can bring real joy. It pushes back against that feeling of being overwhelmed, burnout.
It's about finding that control again, isn't it? That
Yeah.
feeling you're not just watching this tech revolution happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we wanted to get to with, a clear head, maybe a bit of humor too.
Yeah.
See how this ownership idea could completely reframe the whole AI and creativity conversation.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this doom and gloom story. It could be about, well, incredible new possibilities opening up.
Precisely. And our goal here isn't to like hand out all the answers. It's more about encouraging a way of thinking. Critical, yeah, but also optimistic.
Right.
Helping people see the potential for a really interesting partnership with AI, one where, you're actually in the driver's seat.
Okay, so let's dive into that then. This idea of owning an AI model. What would that even look like practically? And why is it such a big deal compared to how things are now?
Well, right now, let's face it, the really powerful AI models, they're mostly held by a few huge tech companies.
Yeah, the big names.
And that naturally brings up questions, fair questions, like how's our data being used? Are these things biased? Who's actually benefiting from all this amazing creative output?
Hmm.
Owning a model, even if it's, say, a smaller, more focused one, it puts you in charge. You decide what it learns from. You can maybe tweak it, fine-tune it to match your artistic vision.
Ah,
And crucially, you've got a much stronger claim on the intellectual property, the ownership of whatever you create with it.
it's almost like uh, the difference between grabbing a generic guitar off the rack versus having one custom made, right?
That's a fantastic analogy.
The connection, the control, it's just different.
It really is. And that autonomy, that personal control is so key for feeling like you have agency.
Regency, right?
Instead of feeling like your creativity is being, I don't know, filtered through somebody else's black box,
Yeah.
you're directly working with a tool you actually understand, one you can influence. And that can really help calm those nerves about being, replaced or your work losing value.
Okay, that makes sense for the model itself.
Yeah.
Now, what about the data? The stuff these models learn from. Why is owning that so important for us as individuals?
Okay, think of it like this. Data is the fuel, right? It's what makes the AI engine run.
Got it.
So if you're a writer, all your past stories, your notes, your research, that's incredibly valuable training material.
My creative fingerprint, basically.
Exactly. Now, if a giant company just scrapes that up without asking, uses it to train their general AI, well, you've basically given away your secret sauce to build a system you don't control.
Hmm.
And you might not see any benefit from it at all.
It feels a bit like pouring all your knowledge into someone else's brain, and then they start competing with you using your own ideas.
That's pretty much it, yeah. So owning your data means you call the shots.
Okay.
You could use it to train your personal AI, one that really gets your voice, your style, without feeding that precious info into some massive corporate system.
Right.
It protects your privacy, sure, but it also lets you build AI tools that are genuinely tailored to what you want to create.
Okay, model owned, data owned. Let's talk about owning the output, the final product.
Mm-hmm.
Seems obvious, right? If I use AI to make something, it's mine.
Hmm.
But Is it that simple?
Well, it seems like it should be simple, but the legal side of things is still playing catch up, honestly.
Huh. Always the way.
Yeah. There are big debates happening right now about how much human input is needed for something to count as original. Who owns the copyright if the AI did most of the heavy lifting?
So if I type in, like, cat riding a unicorn in space, and the AI spits out a masterpiece,
Yeah,
who owns that image? Me, the AI company.
good question. The way things seem to be leaning legally is that if your prompt, your creative direction, was specific and guided the AI significantly, then you probably own the copyright.
Okay.
But if it was a really basic prompt and the AI did almost all the creative work, it gets fuzzier.
Right.
And this is where having your own customized AI model trained on your data, that really strengthens your case.
How so?
Because the output is much more clearly a reflection of your specific inputs, your style, your fine-tuning. It's less generic, more you. So the argument for you owning it is way stronger.
It just keeps coming back to that idea of direct control and involvement, doesn't it?
It really does. That seems to be the core of it.
So let's connect the dots. If we embrace this idea, individuals owning their AI tools, their data, their output, how does that link back to what we were saying earlier about small creative acts, community, finding joy, fighting burnout, all that good stuff?
Well, think about it. If you have easy access to your own AI tools, tools you understand and control, it just lowers the barrier to trying things out.
Yeah, less intimidating.
Exactly. You don't need to be a coding genius or have access to supercomputers. It encourages just playing, experimenting, those small creative explorations we mentioned.
Like using your AI to quickly brainstorm logo ideas for a personal blog, maybe.
Perfect example. Or helping you outline a short story you've been meaning to write. These little wins, these moments of, hey, I made that. They generate real satisfaction, real joy.
Mm.
And that's a powerful antidote to feeling overwhelmed or stuck in a rut.
It's like having this tireless, non-judgmental creative buddy right there with you,
Yeah.
ready to jump in on even the smallest spark of an idea.
That's a great way to put it. And then think about community. If individuals feel empowered to own and mess around with their own AI, imagine the possibilities for sharing.
Ah, interesting.
You could have groups of writers, artists, musicians, all sharing tips, swapping effective prompts, maybe even pooling resources to train specialized models together for their niche.
Wow, that sounds actually really exciting, like it democratizes it somehow.
It really could. Instead of everyone feeling isolated, staring at their own screen, trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
you're connecting with others. It becomes a shared journey of discovery with AI, not against it.
That shared exploration, learning together,
Mm-hmm.
it takes away the scariness, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It reframes AI from this potential threat into a shared tool for creativity and connection. That feeling of community, of discovering things together, that's a huge source of hope and joy.
It really flips the script from competition with AI to collaboration both with the tech and with each other. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we mentioned bringing in some broader philosophical ideas. How can looking at this through a philosophical lens help us wrap our heads around AI and creativity?
Yeah, I think philosophy offers some useful perspectives, like the idea of focusing on the present moment. You find that in things like The Power of Now, for instance.
Okay, being present.
Right. So much of the anxiety around AI is tied up in worrying about some unknown future, right? What
Yep.
might happen.
Yeah, sure.
But if we consciously focus on the immediate creative possibilities, what can I explore with AI today, right now? It feels less daunting, more empowering.
Asking, what small thing can I try?
Yeah.
Instead of, will robots take my job?
Exactly. It grounds you in action, not just anxiety.
That's a helpful shift. What else?
Well, there's also the value placed on direct experience, which you see a lot in, say, Zen philosophy. The idea that understanding comes from doing, not just thinking. We can read endless articles, have debates about AI's theoretical impact, but the real insight, that often comes from actually using it, experimenting, seeing what happens firsthand.
So less talking about AI art, more making AI art, even if it's just messing around.
Precisely. Less debating AI writing tools, more actually trying to write with one. That direct engagement, it demystifies it. You start seeing it less as this abstract, all-powerful force and more as, well, a tool. A complex one, sure, but still a tool you can learn and maybe even shape.
That makes sense. We also touched on the idea that maybe these fears, these difficulties around AI might be temporary. Are there historical parallels? Times when new tech caused similar freakouts?
No, absolutely. History is full of examples. Think about, I don't know, the printing press, huge anxieties. The Industrial Revolution, same thing. Computers arriving in
Right,
workplaces.
people worried about losing jobs, society changing completely.
Exactly. Each time there was significant disruption, real fear, real concerns. But the pattern tends to be initial shock and anxiety followed by adaptation. New ways of working emerge, unforeseen benefits pop up.
So it's like a cycle. Disruption, uncertainty, then integration and new possibilities.
That seems to be a recurring theme, yeah. We can't predict the future with AI perfectly,
Yeah.
obviously, but looking back gives perspective. It reminds us that humans are pretty adaptable, creative, even in how we adapt, and, as we've been saying, actively engaging, finding ways to own and control our relationship with the tech. That's a big part of navigating the change successfully.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. As we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main takeaways, the key things we've landed on about creativity and AI?
Well, first I'd say, yeah, the fears are understandable,
Yeah.
but this idea of ownership, owning the model, the data, the output, it's a really powerful counter narrative. It gives back control.
Right. Owning those pieces shifts us from being passive recipients to active participants, collaborators even.
Exactly. Second, those small creative acts, especially when boosted by personal AI tools, they're not trivial. They're sources of joy, resilience, ways to fight burnout in this crazy world.
And third, community is crucial. Sharing the journey, learning together, experimenting openly. That turns fear into like collective excitement, innovation.
Couldn't agree more. And finally, using philosophy, focusing on the present, embracing direct experience, and remembering history's lessons about tech adaptation. That helps us keep a grounded, maybe even optimistic outlook.
So the big message really boils down to empowerment, doesn't it?
I think so.
Taking ownership, creating actively, connecting with others. That lets us move forward with confidence, not dread.
Yeah, the future of creativity with AI, it doesn't have to be scary. It really could be this amazing new landscape shaped by individuals who are in control.
A landscape of possibilities. I
Mm.
like that. Okay, so here's a final thought for everyone listening. What's just one small creative thing, even just a thought experiment you could do today involving AI, thinking about AI? What new doors might open if you started seeing yourself not just as someone using AI, but potentially as an owner, a shaper, a collaborator? Definitely something interesting to chew on.